Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something, well, huge. What's the future of traditional education, schools, universities now that AI is moving so incredibly fast? One of the sources our listener sent in really nails the question. If you could, theoretically get a PhD using only AI, what does that even say about the value of going to a school for it? We've got a fantastic stack of sources for this deep dive stuff from UNESCO, the World Bank, academic papers, all looking at AI's impact or mission, really unpack AI's potential in education, figure out what schools and unis offer that maybe AI just can't replace, look at the challenges, the risks, and maybe picture a future where AI and human teaching actually work together.
Yeah, that PhD question, it really stops you, doesn't it? It makes you think about what expertise even is. And the sources are clear. This isn't just a minor adjustment we're talking about. It's a fundamental rethink of education. And the speed, that's the kicker. AI is evolving so fast that policy, teaching practice, it's all lagging behind. We're reacting, not really leading. Teachers are grappling with this stuff now, like AI-generated homework, often without clear guidance from their institutions.
Okay, let's get into the exciting part first. What makes AI so compelling for education? What's the big promise?
Well, probably the biggest draw is personalized learning and doing it at scale. Think about AI tools, intelligent tutors, adaptive platforms like Conmigo is one example people might know. They analyze the student's data constantly, real time. They see your strengths, your weaknesses, where the gaps are,
Right.
and then they tailor everything, the content, the pace, the learning path, even the feedback. It's incredibly specific right when you need it.
It sounds like having a personal tutor available anytime. Yeah.
Exactly, which is totally different from the traditional classroom, right? Where it's mostly one size fits all. And yeah, it's AI, so it's there 2/7. Stuck at 2 a.m. Your AI tutor can help.
Wow. Okay, that personalization sounds incredible. But does it also help just reach more people? What about access, efficiency?
Oh, absolutely. That's a
Okay.
huge part of the promise. Enhanced accessibility, scalability, efficiency. Many AI tools are low cost, some even free. That's potentially massive for bridging equity gaps. They can do instant translation, adapt for different learning needs, text-to-speech, visual recognition, you name it, and create immersive stuff like virtual field trips. Think Google Expeditions, that kind of thing. Lets you explore things that were out of reach before.
Okay, but what about the teachers in all this? Does it make them less necessary?
No, not at all. Actually, it could streamline their workload significantly, give them better resources. AI can automate a lot of the routine stuff.
Like grading multiple choice tests?
Yeah, exactly. Grading objective assessments, helping draft lesson plans, creating quizzes, newsletters, managing records. Tools like Conmigo, Grammarly, Turnitin, even features in Google Classroom are already doing this.
So it frees up their time. For what then?
That's the key. It frees them up for the human stuff. Context teaching strategies, deeper engagement with students, real mentoring, that critical social emotional support that actually helps them, humanize their role more. But
Yeah.
there's a catch. The sources mention this potential efficiency trap.
Efficiency trap. How so?
Well, if we focus too much on what AI is good at measuring the quantifiable stuff, like test scores, we risk devaluing the messier, more nuanced learning, things like deep critical thinking, tackling ambiguous problems, genuine creativity. The worry is it could push the curriculum towards stuff that's just easy for AI to handle, and that could lead to shallower learning overall.
Ah, right. The flip side. If AI boosts scores, does that automatically mean deep learning? It makes you question what mastery even means now, especially that PhD idea.
Great.
What is mastery if AI helps you generate the answers?
Exactly. It forces this whole discussion about redefined mastery. Personalized AI paths are great for optimizing existing knowledge, yeah? But they might accidentally discourage the kind of divergent creative thinking you need for original breakthroughs, which is, absolutely vital for something like a PhD. The sources basically ask, is mastery just having the knowledge and skills, which AI is great for? Or does it also include the process, the struggle, the curiosity, the collaboration, building your intellectual character? AI-assisted mastery might just feel different. It might be qualitatively different from mastery earned through, wrestling with ideas yourself or with other people.
Okay, so AI is powerful, but the sources argue pretty strongly that schools and universities aren't going anywhere. They still have this enduring value. What is it that they offer that AI just can't?
Well, top of the list has to be the irreplaceable human element. Teachers bring empathy, creativity, judgment, that kind of professional wisdom AI just doesn't have. They're not just information dispensers. They inspire, they motivate, they build relationships, create supportive environments. They're key figures in the community, making countless judgment calls every day that AI isn't ready for.
So it's more than just facts. It's about connection, inspiration.
Precisely. And remember how AI automates the routine tasks? That actually lets teachers focus more on those human interactions, facilitating tricky discussions, real mentorship, social-emotional support. It lets them double down on humanizing learning. And this links to education being beyond knowledge transmission. Schools are meant to cultivate critical thinking, creativity, problem solving. There's a real concern in the sources that if you rely too much on AI for answers, you lose that productive struggle.
That struggle is where the learning happens, right?
Exactly. Students need to grapple to try and predict, explain, hypothesize for themselves. Not just be given the answer. AI gives information, sure, but the human teacher guides you on how to think critically about it, synthesize it, apply it creatively. And this highlights another crucial role for educators, teaching AI literacy, guiding students on how to evaluate AI output critically, spotting bias, verifying sources, using AI as a tool responsibly, not as some kind of oracle. This is becoming a foundational skill. And you see how this changes the idea of rigor. If AI handles basic content recall, then rigor, especially higher up, becomes about how you apply knowledge. Depth of critical thinking, collaboration, creativity and new solutions, ethical thinking. This goes right back to the PhD thing. A PhD isn't just knowing stuff. It's research methodology, critical analysis, making an original contribution, ethics, deeply human stuff.
Okay, what about the whole social side of school? Interacting with other people, that seems pretty fundamental.
Absolutely, the social fabric of learning. AI really struggled to replicate that.
Yeah.
Schools, universities, they're rich environments for interacting with peers, collaborating, debating, developing teamwork, communication skills. The sources are really clear on this, that social component, engaging with peers and professors in real time, is irreplaceable. Think about, say, team sports in PE. The coordination, communication under pressure. Hard to get that from a simulation.
Right, and that leads into overall development, not just academics.
Exactly. Holistic development, including social emotional learning, or SEL, skills like empathy, self-management, social awareness, they're crucial for life, for careers. AI can simulate scenarios, maybe, but it can't provide real empathy or that nuanced support from teachers and peers. PE contributes here too, building confidence, resilience through physical activity and teamwork. And AI actually shines a light on the hidden curriculum in schools and all those social skills, emotional growth, resilience, ethics you pick up just by being part of that community. It forces institutions to be more intentional about fostering these unique human skills.
Okay, what about the physical place? The buildings, the labs, the fields, does that still matter?
Definitely. The tangible and the experiential. Physical campuses offer labs for real experiments, workshops for building things, art studios, gyms, places for hands-on embodied learning. Even with great VR or AR, that tactile experience, working with real materials, dealing with real-world physics in a lab, that's unique. And like we said, PE needs physical space. Plus, the campus itself is often described as a crucible for serendipitous innovation and social capital. Those random chats in the hallway, meeting people in clubs, that organic, unplanned social learning sparks ideas and builds networks in ways virtual spaces find hard to match.
And finally, who guarantees quality? How do we know a degree means something?
That's where schools function as guardians of quality and integrity. Accreditation, certification that relies on traditional institutions, setting standards, building trust, providing accountability. Human oversight is critical there, even if AI assists the process. You need judgment, you need to watch for bias, and they're grappling directly with academic integrity challenges from generative AI. It's easy for students to generate text now, which messes with traditional assessment.
Right, you mentioned the detection tools aren't perfect.
Exactly. They exist, but they have limits, inaccuracies. They can flag non-native speakers unfairly, for instance. You can't just rely on tech. Educators are essential for teaching ethical AI use, proper citation, the value of original thought, and the sources really stress how the lines are blurring. How do you measure authentic intellectual contribution when AI is heavily involved, especially for advanced original work? It's a tough question.
So, okay, AI is clearly powerful, but it comes with some serious risks and downsides. What are the really key challenges we need to watch out for?
Well, one big one is that double-edged sword idea around over-reliance and cognitive engagement. It's like the calculator debate, but amplified. If students just use AI as a crutch, their own skills might weaken. This cognitive offloading, letting AI do the thinking, frees up mental space, maybe, but it risks reducing deep engagement, that intellectual resilience you get from struggling with a problem yourself.
And accuracy is still a problem.
Oh yeah. Accuracy is a constant concern. AI hallucinations where it just makes stuff up, but sounds convincing mean you absolutely have to teach critical evaluation and source verification. Never just trust the AI output. And if it's not integrated thoughtfully, it can lead to really passive learning.
Does this tech risk making inequality worse? The gap between students?
That's a huge worry. Bridging the divide.
Yeah.
You've got equity, access, the digital divide, and algorithmic bias all tangled up here. Unequal access to tech devices, internet, digital skills that alone widens existing gaps. UNESCO, the World Bank, they talk about this Matthew effect, the rich get richer, basically. Those with resources benefit more. And there's a risk of a distilled education for those who only get free, maybe less capable, AI tools.
And bias in the AI itself.
Critically important, algorithmic bias. AI learns from data, and if that data reflects societal biases, race, gender, socioeconomics, the AI can perpetuate or even amplify them. You might see it in unfair grading, biased feedback, or even plagiarism detectors flagging certain groups more often. We need careful vetting of these tools, transparency, diverse training data. It's a major ethical challenge.
And all the data AI collects on students, that feels risky.
Data privacy and security, absolutely huge. These tools collect enormous amounts of student data performance, learning habits, personal info. That creates risks, breaches, misuse, surveillance. Schools are targets. So you need really robust data protection policies, strong cybersecurity, transparent governance, ethical guidelines. It's non-negotiable.
You mentioned academic integrity before. It feels like a recurring theme here as a challenge.
It is, because academic integrity in the age of generative AI is such a profound challenge. The ease of generating work just breaks many traditional assessment models. Detection tools, as we said, are flawed. But the deeper problem is those blurring lines. If a student uses AI heavily for brainstorming, drafting, editing, how do you fairly assess their unique contribution? Especially for something like a thesis that requires originality. And there's what the sources call the governance gap. AI evolves incredibly fast. Policy struggles to keep up. We need adaptive frameworks, collaboration between educators, policymakers, students, tech companies. Otherwise, it's either the Wild West or overly restrictive rules that kill innovation.
Okay, so given all this, the power, the risks, how does AI really reshape education going forward? What changes for teachers? What skills do students absolutely need now?
Well, it definitely means redefining the educator role. The old sage on the stage, just delivering information. That model has to change. Educators become more like a guide on the side. Facilitators, mentors, coaches, helping students navigate AI tools, evaluate information critically, synthesize knowledge, collaborate with AI effectively. Since AI can handle some routine stuff, teachers get to focus on higher-order thinking, creativity, problem-solving, deep discussions, ethics, social-emotional support, the truly human parts.
But that requires teachers to learn a whole new skill set themselves.
Absolutely. Massive need for teacher training.
Yeah.
They need AI literacy, how it works, its limits, bias. They need new teaching strategies for integrating AI, interpreting AI data, designing AI-resistant assessments, teaching AI ethics.
Yeah.
One source called the teacher an ethical navigator, guiding students through this complex new landscape bias, privacy, misinformation. It's a big shift.
Okay, so teachers adapt. What about students? When AI can retrieve information or write a draft, what skills become truly essential for them?
Essential human competencies really come to the forefront. AI literacy is fundamental for everyone, not just tech specialists. Understanding how AI works, its limits, potential biases, its societal impact, it's about critically evaluating AI outputs, verifying information, making ethical choices about its use. There's also this concept of a meta-learning imperative. We need to teach students how to learn effectively and ethically with AI, understanding their own learning process, AI's role, and maintaining intellectual independence.
And presumably things AI can't do become more valuable.
Exactly. Those non-cognitive skills, soft skills, 21st century skills, whatever you call them. Critical thinking, creativity, complex problem solving, especially messy real-world problems, collaboration, communication, empathy, social intelligence, leadership, adaptability, resilience. These become key differentiators. Employers are constantly asking for these. The sources also bring up this interesting idea of cultivating slow cognitive virtues.
Slow cognitive virtues.
Yeah, things like deep thinking, reflection, contemplation. In a world obsessed with speed and instant answers from AI, the ability to slow down, think deeply, reflect critically, that could be a uniquely valuable human skill. Countering that tendency towards cognitive offloading, schools could be places that actively nurture this.
And how does this change what's actually taught, the curriculum, and how we measure learning?
Big changes needed there. Curriculum and assessment reform. The focus has to shift away from rote memorization. AI does that perfectly. It needs to move towards applying knowledge, interdisciplinary thinking, solving complex, ill-defined problems, and assessment. Well, traditional exams are vulnerable. We need more AI-resistant assignments that assess genuine critical thinking, reflection, creativity, ethical reasoning.
Or maybe assessments that actually use AI.
Right. Assessments that incorporate AI, but evaluate the student's process.
Hmm.
How effectively did they use the tool? How did they prompt it? Did they critically evaluate the output? Did they integrate it ethically? Maybe even include a reflection piece explaining their choices. The focus shifts from just the final product to the process of learning and collaborating with AI. And you see how this loops back to that PhD question. It points to a new human-AI collaboration paradigm. AI crunches data, spots patterns, generates ideas. Humans bring expertise, judgment, ethics, ask novel questions, provide context. Higher education needs to prepare people for that synergy.
So pulling it all together, it sounds like AI is definitely transformative, a huge shift, but maybe not the end of schools as we know them.
Exactly. The future isn't likely AI replacing human education. It looks more like a symbiotic relationship. AI augments human teaching, handling some tasks, personalizing things, while humans focus on the irreplaceable aspects. The sources really argue that AI forces us, as a society, to renegotiate the purpose of education itself. If AI handles information, what are we educating humans for? Job skills, fulfillment, citizenship, intellectual growth. AI forces us to confront what's uniquely human and prioritize that.
And making that future happen requires deliberate action, right? It won't just happen on its own.
Absolutely. Proactive steps are needed from everyone. Policymakers need to create smart, flexible guidelines. We need serious investment in teacher training. Curriculum and assessment need fundamental reform. We need ongoing research to understand the impacts. And collaboration is key. Educators, policymakers, students, families, tech companies all need to be part of the conversation, working towards ethical and effective integration. Traditional institutions, schools, universities. They'll likely matter more, not less. Not just as places for knowledge anymore, AI helps with that, but as hubs for human-AI synergy. Places where we cultivate wisdom, ethical responsibility, critical consciousness, creativity, empathy, the things AI can't replicate.
So, a final thought for you, the listener, based on all this. As AI gets increasingly good at handling information and tasks, how will you focus on nurturing those uniquely human qualities? The critical thinking, the creativity, the empathy, the ability to ask truly original questions, that capacity for deep reflection that make learning meaningful and allow you to contribute something genuinely new to the world. What does learning look like for you in this coming symbiotic age?